Humans make 35,000 decisions a day. 95% are irrational. Why is everyone irrational? We have the explanation of how and when this happens. Are you irrational or just human? Irrational Humans, where I talk about body language, micro-expressions, behavior economics, behavior science, neuroscience, consumer behavior, persuasion, influence, how people make decisions, irrational behaviors.
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Irrational Humans. Do you know that people make 35,000 decisions a day and 95% are irrational? Humans are stupid or just humans? That include me. Do I need so many shoes? No. Now you says, why another stupid podcast? Because people have different way to reach information. And even though science do not agree, we want to fulfill your needs. And that is the reason me, Susan, is here in front of the mic. For years, people believe that as human, we have a preference to learn and incorporate information. Who hasn't heard the statement that we only use 10% of the brain? And if you listen music from Mozart make you smarter, almost learning happen in the first 3 years of your life. Well, most of those are myths. Among these myths that are being debunked by science, sorry guys, is that people is visual, auditory, or kinetic, or as known in NLP, back. But it's not how we work.
Body language for everyday life and more. Your body's talking, even when you're not. Learn how your arms and legs, and even your smile, give you away every time. Find out what your body is really saying about you.
So I studied NLP, don't get me wrong, many years ago. And the majority of the myth of the things taught on the 70s and 80s on NLP has been debunked. But let's start from what is a myth in the people is visual, auditory, and kinetic. The idea that people is primarily visual, auditory, kinetic learner and that they learn best when they taught in the preference style is one of the education's most persistent and widespread myths, believe it or not. According to this belief, visual learners benefit from more images and diagrams, and auditory learners from listen, and kinetic learners from add hands-on activities. This concept is so popular that, listen to this, between 80 to 95% of the people believe that is true. Now, despite of the popularity, there is not scientific evidence to support the idea that matching instructions to a student's self-identified learning style improve learning and outcomes. Why does the myth persist? And here we talk in this podcast about explaining you what it is, how it works, what is the myth, and why irrational humans follow those tendencies, and what those tendencies, if they have an heuristic, an effect, or just we are human. And we try to make it as simple as possible. So let's understand why these myths persist. Intuitive appeal. The idea feels right because people do have preference for how they receive information, but preference is not equal to effectiveness. And we're going to talk this at the end. Confirmation bias. When people do well after learning and their preferred style, they attribute their success to the match even if the style may no actual different. Education cultures. We don't get me even started that the crisis we have with teachers. So let's give it a break. Don't point the bullet to them. Educational culture. Teachers, training programs, and education resources have long promoted the learning style. Models reinforce its credibility. I have a lot of teachers as my students in my classes, and one of the things is the educational system, they don't give them tools to improve or learn new things. So most of them, they need to pay for it. What does the science says about learning? Multiple modalities help everyone. Research shows that everyone benefits from instruction that use multiple lenses, combining visual, spoken explanation, and hands-on practice, regardless of their self-report learning style. Judgment versus proof of learning. People may feel they learn better in their preferred style, judgment of learning, but objective tests show no real difference is actually learning outcome, proof of learning. Cognitive flexibility. The human brain is adaptable and can process information in many ways. Effective learning often depends more on the nature of the material than the learning context than on individual sensory preferences. Like I says, they're not scientific evidence, but listen to this. If you can prove them wrong, maybe you can make money. The hypothesis that people learn best when the information is presented in their preferred or domain learning style has been the subject of numerous scientific studies. No study up to date 2025 has been able to provide this hypothesis. There is even $5,000 reward offered to any research or team that successfully is proven the effectiveness of the learning style. So are neuromyths harmless? Neuromyths are myths that are related with anything that have to do with neuroscience. Guilty behavioral neuroscience here. Not really. A student labeled as auditory because she excels in music could feel dominated the learning away with her or his ears and lose her or his motivation for subjects like geography or chemistry. So now the power of bias get us to understand this. We're going to talk about the claim of learning styles myth and scientific evidence. People have a dominant learn style. The truth is no consistent evidence for fixing styles. Claim, matching teaching to style improve learning. Evidence, no improvement showing control studies. Claim, visual, auditory, kinetic are distinct types. Evidence, preference exists but not linked to the outcome of the way people learn. Claim, teachers should tailor to teach styles. Science evidence, best practice, use mixed modalities. Now, the takeaway from this, because the idea is, again, that you can take away your own thoughts. However is your belief on your personal sense of learning style is okay. What you should avoid is to label others under any of the three options. Now, personally, I think I learn better visual, kinetic, and auditory. I love to read a physical book and hear the audio at the same time. Due to my dyslexia, this was the only way to move to in my careers and studies. I always says when I was 15, I negotiated with my parents to let me go to the library because I felt that high school was too slow. When I went through all the audiobooks on the regular library, I remember the librarian, lovely old lady with her bone, salt and pepper hair, and the small glasses on the tip of the nose. Yeah, that was my librarian. Says a couple of blocks from here, you're gonna find the blind library. So why don't you take the books from here and go to check if the library have the audios, or go to check all the audios you want to learn and come with me and I'm gonna cross paths so you can read it and see it. Now, I have a specific style of brain of learning because I have dyslexia and I have Asperger. If I listen to a book at the same time then I read it, I actually use the three options. Visual, because I see the reading. Kinetic, because I feel the book. I cannot read and Kindle, even my life depend on it. I know it's your style. I respect it. The reason I pay more in moving books than anything in my house is because I love to have them physically and I never get rid of the book. I even have a flashcard when somebody asks me for a book. You're allowed to have it for 30 days, and I have a pen and paper, write it, and you better return my book the way I said, give it to you. And auditory, because I listen to the book. Again, I have a specific style that I need to utilize. I talked to a specialist, and I found out, at least for me, Susan Ibitz work better. You need to look what is your better preference styles, and whatever accommodate, however you're going to put it, go for it. Again, don't point at other people, neither style of learning. Do you think that you have a preferences? Do you think that people believe in myths or science when it comes to these things? Do you think that all need to be proved by science to be true? We're going to talk about the crisis of replication studies. And believe me, I have been in academia, I teach in academia, and I hate academia. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I'm going for my third master this year, but I'm not an academic person regarding studies. But we're going to talk about this in another section. See you next episode, and welcome to Irrational Humans.
Susan Ibitz is a former political influence consultant, profiler, and civilian hostage negotiator. With expertise, studies, and masters in human behavior, behavior economics, neuroscience, and a nerd for data, Susan works on the humans that grow your business. High performance, high behavior training. Teach corporations and employees how to hack into humans using behavior, neuroscience, and persuasion. Behavior economics. She has been called freaky and the top expert in her field by the Chicago Tribune and Psychology Today, by showing how to profile anyone in 30 seconds. She is the author and researcher of Irrational Humans. People make 35,000 decisions a day, and 95% are irrational. But why and how?